Okay, everybody, I think we are live here on the YouTube stream for the Jay and Gary Show. And Sarah is down there in Carbondale broadcasting the...
Hold on one second.
broadcasting the celebration that's coming up. And so I will drop off here in a moment. And as things get started, you'll see that. I can't be there, unfortunately. I had a little surgery on this eye earlier this week. And the doctor said, I don't think it would be a good idea for you to be traveling around the country. I'm not supposed to lift anything heavier than 10 pounds. So, all right, let's see what's going on there.
Gary, are we live?
We are live.
Okay. I'm going to find a place to sit.
Okay. Yep, you're there. I have lost your sound, though.
Maybe I'll just hold it.
Okay.
I'll get over it.
Goal was to do nothing for a year and a half. I've done except what I wanted. I don't want to traveling. Yeah, very nice. Back in before that, you guys in the university drove it.
The president drove it?
Yeah. And his life, he ran traffic. And it's been over 45 minutes.
So if I hear you correctly, you were in the back seat of a Corvette with the president's wife.
He was in the front seat.
Okay.
He was in the front seat. I don't think they were holding hands or anything. I was sitting in a raised area. I said, if you hadn't taken a picture looking up, he went, go ahead. And it turned out I knew the guy that had to come down. What are you doing?
Same, Diane, we live in upstate New York. Been there for about 10 years. Kind of like it. I might stay there. I'm still in radio. Diane works at Syracuse University. Well, she is, me. Well, yeah. I never left the dark side.
No, Syracuse gets all the job. Syracuse gets all the town even better than the
So, you know, like the place that I work at trained out Steve Levy, ESPN. Linda Cohn was there for a little while. I don't think she's ready. So I do a little bit. Not like that. Mike Perico. Last late last night. ESU platform. The president was driving.
State of New York, does that mean you live in Syracuse?
We live in a town just north of Syracuse, because I work north. It's about 20 hours. Oh, about 2 hours. We try to go every year. We didn't go the year. We didn't go in the fall, so I'm a member. We'll always we try to get the big bang. Yeah, do. Well, come visit. But it's really a great museum. Much better than the other times. I'm not a huge baseball fan, but
I'd love to see it.
yeah, we haven't been since the whole Negro League before they integrated, into the canon, if you will. So it's supposed to be different now than it was.
I've been to the Negro League Museum like 3 times in Kansas City.
Yeah,
and it's easier to see everything there. But it's not good. I'll keep that in mind when I do.
Well, I mean, just knowing who you are, I think it's like if you ever do get out there and pick it up for whatever you want to do, we go in.
Yeah. That'd be great. Okay.
It's good. That time we got that's the biggest detriment of all the erosion that across the country. In the end, that's all anyone needs to know. Everything I've read, that's the shit I know. Well, it's like
just welcome everyone. This is an overwhelming turnout, so thank you for accommodating each other in this rather crowded place. We're really having a good time. Jack Titchener is going to speak and Joy Lee We're going to hear from Sarah Pearce as well. And then we'll get a plus of people have with you to share some. So I'll turn it over to Dan.
Certainly could have done this or that. I'm so honored to have been asked to say a few words today as we celebrate our friend Jay's life. Jay would have been so happy to see you. To give you hugs, to laugh, and share the stories we all treasure. He loved you all so much. Thanks to everyone who made this happen. Archie, Dale, Sarah, and all so glad you're here. Jay was larger than life in many respects. In the past, I wrote that morning that Illinois had lost one of its most distinctive and important public media voices.
Here, here.
Jay, exactly. Jay was a champion of public media in the state of Illinois and the nation. As a radio news director, public radio station manager, NPR board member, twice elected, and most recently as the executive director of the Illinois Public Broadcasting Commission. Jay's tireless advocacy of public media and superb leadership skills were deeply appreciated by as many colleagues and the public we serve. Whatever the cause of public media, Jay was always there. His latest accomplishment is the spring's passage of the multi-million-dollar appropriations bill to fund the statewide emergency services network, Illinois public media stations that will provide life-saving information on times of disaster, flood, and incredible legacy. Jason from the Pearce classes, working with them to build the Westside radio newsroom in the 1980s to the 90s was one of the greatest experiences in professional life. He was a constant reporter and leader, a superb news coverage. He was an inspiring and enduring mentor. A hundred SIU radio. So that was a role he later carried on in WIR and GA and the Dr. Santa College at WBIK in the Quad Cities. Was one of the best broadcast writers I ever met. I could sit in the morning and take a piece of case, be cold, and know that I was in great shape. He was such a
And he wrote it in 30 seconds, I'll bet.
And he did. He always did the most. I have to say that newsroom that we had in the late 80s with John Wiley, Jerome Reggie, Cheryl Grissom, and all those folks. Yeah. It was like walking into the comedy club. That's where you from. We had such fun. Looking around this room, we all know that the radio TV program was legendary, turning out some of the best broadcasters during his golden age. And Jay was right at the front of the line. I see so many people here who represent that heritage. It's amazing. Jay was among our best and brightest, and he brought such distinction to the heart. His commitment to excellence and sheer hard work. He was always so proud of his school, and he cherished many things he gave for a lifetime. Here, public media, and of course, in local promotion. Yes, I'm so glad that's to honor that. Some of my fondest memories of Jay come from our many efforts together in the year. Not only reporting the news, but we did these amazing interviews that were constantly here, and got countless pledge breaks asking for support for public television. There's a picture that we have on the pledge set, and we're both laughing and hearing. I can't remember what Jay said, but he always makes to crack me up and make the experience fun. I often said that if anybody was to wear the mantle of being a national broadcaster, it was Jay. Yeah. He never missed an opportunity to say the right thing. Jay was always ready. Working with Jay was like being in a mass class in a deep broadcast. And you know, so like, he was one of the funniest people ever had. Every was legible. But every moment. Finally, even though we were the same age, I always looked at Jay as the older brother I never had. For his wisdom, his wit, his intelligence, and I can't tell you over that, over the past 20 months. He was such a beautiful and natural. I'm so grateful I was able to spend time with Jay a few months ago, trying to see part. He was here. We love you, Jay. Good night. There you go. Your life is a blessing. The world. Us feel. Michael, Joey Lee, another one of those masterclass brothers.
All right, again. Jay and I both work for Dutch Daylight, W3D and WDDW in Marion, Johnson City, and Dutch is here, the owner and general manager, and man that thought both of us so much about this. And I know Dutch has to leave pretty soon, and I believe he has some tables that we used to see. Thanks, Joey. I was digging through some stuff. I can get this. There he is.
Our family accumulate a lot of those things months in desired result. And someone turn out to be funny. I mean, teachers, if you learn about that, and they learn, I have to make mistakes in the first place, and the two, I have to move on thinking in the production room that other people are around, and number three, not to let it get on the air. Because Big Brother is listening.
Okay, I have to tell you what happened. He made this big spiel at a Christmas party, had some blooper stuff to show. So the very next Monday, he was signing on our AM station time. So, oh, I'm sorry. He was, I should know that, shouldn't I? Yeah, you forget. You do forget. So, the very next Monday, after he did some of these bloopers here, I picked up something for him for signing. He was signing on the Good Morning Show on the AM station and signing. So I put this together. This was on a card, normal sign on, which is kind of boring, you know. So here it is, weary-eyed, one morning, right after we had the Christmas party.
Howdy, folks. You've been waiting all night. Here it is. Yes, another name, Emily. Yes, another day, fun games on the old radio. Here's your host, Dave Price. The annual summer clearance sale is on now. It's your Marion Green Point Club.
This is Jay.
This is Daniel from every department in the store, like a 12-inch tabletop barbecue grill, only $2. 34-pound fillers, just $1. 25 kill no pet will sell. Who wrote that son of a bitch?
You missed what he said there. He was not happy with who wrote that.
On the WD Morning Show, it's 8:38 now, and we go live to Johnston City with Jim Knight and standing by for ribbon cutting ceremonies. The news school up there. Jim, you take it away.
No, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
That didn't really get on the air, but Jay made Tim and I think it did get on the air. And Brad's been quite a bit. Just a little bit more here. Let me pick it up. Figure out how to get out of this. Jay did serious stuff. We had so much fun back in the day, 1,000 years ago.
Listen to what one of our advertisers has to say about the way 3D brought people his way.
This is Lindy's Western Martin, DeCorn, Illinois. We've been in business now for about 6 years, and we did very little of radio advertising. Most of our meetings done through the newspapers. We had Mr. Deem and his associates into our store for a grand opening last July, and since then, W3D has really helped our business. It's hard to make a measurement.
You don't need to hear about all that 3D problem. But he did about 5 or 6 of those in a row. Just a consummate professional. And we stayed in contact over the years, and we had a reunion 2019 3D, and 49 years after the station went on air. You imagine that? And we just had such a good time, and just a great guy. And as I said, the consummate professional. Not only was he a good on-the-air guy, but we did all sorts of things in 3D, and he had his fingers in all of the working stuff. Towers falling, all sorts of things. I've got 2 tower falls. Yeah, I've got some pictures here that I'll show to anybody that might not see him. 3 pictures of him. Let me put one up here. Maybe you can see that. I don't know. That was FM. Yeah. Anybody want to see him up closer? Why? Holler at me here when I'm done. There's one of his cohorts. Sumner he went into TV. He lost the faith and went into TV. And this is an interesting one. This is when we operated out of a mobile home after the towers and the building got destroyed in 1988. I think it was, yeah. And there he was sitting in the back of a mobile home in improvised studios doing his thing. The other studio was in my garage for the AM. So those are some of my thoughts, and he sent me such a nice letter after the reunion. He sent me a 2-page letter telling me all the different things and the impact that 3D had on him as a young broadcaster, and it was just very touching. And I know you all feel that same way about Joey. Thank you, Doug. Before I get going, Brian Powell, most people know as Brian R. Powell. He's in the hospital, so he couldn't be here today. But during the recent blackout for cancer game at SIU, he bid on and won a jersey, a game jersey, in honor of Jay. All right. Pearce on the back. And he wanted me to give that to the family. So, Sarah and Dale, if you take that and put that wherever you think might be appropriate. Well, Jack talked more about Jay's professional developments. My remarks are going to be a little bit different because I'm going to talk about Jay as a friend and confidant and so forth. And just to set the tone, this is a picture I have of Jay drinking beer from a downspout. I hope anything bad. I don't know. Yeah. So, and I have some more pictures that I brought that I'll lay out here on the table. But suffice it to say that Jay and I were college classmates, worked at WSIU together, W3D together. Then we became housemates along with Rod and Bruce Welker, and that was a lot of fun. We had some epic Halloween parties at that big greenhouse, and there's some pictures of that there. So we had a lot of fun there. We had a lot of fun at the New Point State Fair, as Jack mentioned, hanging out with some of the fair staff on the backstretch of
the 1 mile track, and the statute of limitations is up on that. So that is state property, so I need to be really careful there. And I was Jay's best man at his first 2 weddings. He fired me for the 3rd one, so that would work. But it, got a couple of good kids out of those first 2. So anyway, and he truly was one of my dearest friends. We had a lot of after I came over to WCIL and then was later promoted to news director there. Ty Suneo worked with me at CIL. And he was just a constant morning drive anchor with some of his cohorts, his co-anchors, Bill Nevin and Mary Jane Dwyer and some others, and Simon Martinez. He just made everybody so good, and with Mr. Riley on the other side of the glass, boy, we had just an incredible radio station with Tony Wickness kind of pushing and pulling the buttons, and Mike Reese is shaking his head trying to.
Yes, Reese did nothing.
Take that to anybody but you.
But I honestly will say that, Jay and I both had the honor, the privilege of working for not just 2 of the best stations in Southern Illinois, but I think 2 of the best stations in the Midwest. We really did. So, again, I have some pictures for you to look at, and
police reports.
Yeah, I haven't even gone into the trials we covered together. Things like a guy stabbing his son because he let the fish get away.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Or that, or the headless body that the Michael Miley. Yeah.
Or the Phillips is going to defend himself.
John Paul Phillips. Yeah. We've had some of the
zip gun.
Yeah, we've had some of the craziest trials where the judge called one defendant a mad dog that needed to be put down. It's crazy. But anyway, like you all, I'm going to miss Jay as a colleague, but most of all, I'm going to miss him as a friend.
Yeah.
Let's raise a glass. Anybody else have something they'd like to say?
Sarah.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah. I'm his daughter. I know a lot of you probably met me when I was very, very young. But it's nice to see you all. I see most of you on Facebook. And I just want to say thank you for all of the support and pictures and messages and cards and letters. All of the love that we've experienced has been really helping us get through this. And he loved all of you so much. Talk about you all the time. I think growing up every weekend when we would go to breakfast, I heard so many stories throughout the years. He really cherished his time here, and it was just really impactful to him. And I know that he had such an impact on all of you, and seeing all of you come out from all over just to be here today has meant the world to all of us. So just thank you. Thank you very much. And I don't know many of you by face. I probably know a lot of your names, but if you have a story, I'd love it if you came up and shared a story with me. That's just, that's all we got now. And I cherish that very much. So come say hi, and thank you all for being here today and being with our family.
Thank you. Sarah Bear.
We have one last piece of audio. Jay's brother, Gary, could not be here today, but he shared a little, put together a little sound clip for us. It might take me just a moment. I can find it. See,
Yeah, they might come over here. I don't know where it's at.
See, when we had the WILL Memorial, everything went off without a hitch because we were surrounded by consummate professionals. And we are consummate professionals here as well, but we did not have everything quite as organized as we did at WILL, which was an absolutely lovely memorial. If any of you were there, I know I recognize some of you.
Well, let me also mention that Jay and I were also business partners for a while. We tried to get an FM radio station. Well, actually, we tried to get two of them, 95.1 and 103.5, both of which are now part of the River Radio Group. But since we were both white males, we absolutely had no chance. So, it was an interesting try anyway.
Good run.
Sorry, the people are watching, so I'll make sure they can see everything. I just connected to the.
Thank you.
Oh, good. I always hear music, and I didn't put it
Yeah. I heard radio.
How many were here for one of the Tour de Drafts? Anybody?
I pictured
Tour de Draft.
I said
When
I'm not allowed to say out loud.
when Jay chartered a bus.
Hello, everybody. This is the disembodied voice. That's what radio really is, isn't it? The disembodied voice of Gary Pearce, Jay's older, and it hasn't been a long time since I was his big brother. He got bigger than me a long time ago. I wish I could be there with you. I can't. I had eye surgery last week, and the doctor wasn't really happy with the idea of me traveling when I'm not supposed to pick up anything heavier than like 5 pounds. So I really wish I could be there with you, but I can't. Another problem. Although Jay and I grew up together, we were 5 years apart, and we didn't really travel in the same circles. I didn't know his friends very well. He didn't know my friends very well. And then once we were adults, we also didn't keep in very close touch. We could go years between even phone calls. And one worry issue is I have a little memory quirk. I don't remember stories and anecdotes and things in our shared history. I have little snapshots of things, but I can't tell stories. So here in front of a group of Jay's friends, I should be able to relate some humorous stories of his past. And unfortunately, for the most part, I can't. What I can do is relate something that happened quite fortunately for both of us over the past couple of years. We started getting closer together. Facebook helped a lot. And then at the beginning of this year, after Jay had retired, we finally decided to start recording a podcast together. We bandied that idea about for a while. And then once he was actually finally retired and done with most of his jobs, we got it going. And I am very grateful that we did, because now I have about 14 episodes of he and I talking together, sharing memories. Not nearly all of them. I really wanted to get more, but sharing memories and just having fun. And I was able to pull from those episodes his story of broadcasting from the beginning right up to the end. And so I can share that with you here in the medium of audio. And that's what I'm going to do. It all began with this little program that we started called
So how did we get into radio? I guess, I was interested in radio because you and Andy were involved in broadcasting. I had a radio station at our neighbor's house. Andy built this little night kit transmitter. And Bruce and I went to the thrift shop in Winnetka and bought a record player. And we had a microphone somehow. So WBDJ radio. We went about 2 blocks. And then Andy Abrams and I doing radio shows in
his den on his dad's stereo system. That was the PAC, the Pearce Abrams Company Radio Network, something like that. So we would interview each other and do characters and read commercials out of magazines, read the ads, and we'd play songs. Then I went to high school at New Trier, and you and Andy had helped build the radio station, WNTH. So the first thing I ever did in radio was walk into WNTH, and they go, "Oh God, another Pearce." I think I was in the continuity department. I got kicked out of WNTH. I know that's why I must be got another Pearce. I did one air shift there. It was a show called Midday, and it played like Percy Faith music. It was modern music for the modern housewife. Well, back then it sounded more like modern music for the modern housewife on WNTH. My first radio on the air was a campus station that wasn't actually on the air, WCCB, Chicago Circle Broadcasters. And then I was a business major. I was not allowed to go into radio and television, my dad, because you guys were in it.
Didn't think there'd be a future in that.
And I wanted to because my big brothers were in it and because I thought it would be a good way to get girls. I took a communications class with a guy named Harry Scornia. One of our assignments was to listen to WBEZ and listen to All Things Considered from NPR. Bob Edwards was hosting then. So I listened to that and I was like, screw Dad. And I looked at radio TV schools, ones that I could afford because he wasn't going to pay for it if I did this. So I chose SIU. And you have to understand that even before I went to University of Illinois Chicago Circle, I'd been accepted at University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign into the aerospace engineering program with plans upon being an aerospace engineer. But I had a girlfriend at the time in high school, and she had another year to go, I think, in high school. And I didn't want to leave. So I was working at the gas station and caddying. So I went to U of I Chicago. Dad got me in. And the next day I was a business major at U of I Chicago. Dad had a little pull. I did a year and a half of that. And then at Christmas time, I went to Europe for a while. It was a lot of fun. Then I came back and worked real hard at the gas station and caddying with Bill Murray. I had saved up all the money I needed to go to SIU. And I worked there. And then I got a job at a commercial station there, WJPF, where JP is. Then it became WHPI Radio Whoopee. And I left for W3D Radio. And then I went to Cape Girardeau and did mornings at KGMO, where Rush Limbaugh had worked. And then I came back up and I worked at, variously WCIL AM in the afternoons. And then I went to Texas and worked at KTER.
They didn't pay you, right?
Oh, yeah, I made $100 a week. I was so tired of living there and being broke. I could afford to eat one Whataburger a day. It was awful. It was the low point of my life. I had gotten a call from W3D. They were putting WDDW, an AM station, on the air, and asked if I'd come back and do that. This was on a Sunday morning, the guy called. And I said, when do you need me there? And he goes, well, as soon as you get here, we're going on the air July 1st. And I said, I'll be there tomorrow. So I made it as far as Texarkana, and the fuel pump fell off. And it was like Sunday night. I hitchhiked, got picked up by a trucker. He gave me a beer. I got off at the exit, and I was walking up the exit ramp drinking the beer, and a state trooper stopped me, and I was in a lot of trouble because I was drinking a beer in public. So he took me to the station, which was a long way away from the interstate. I was being held on suspicion of vagrancy or some damn thing. I don't know what. In the morning, the dispatcher came on duty, took pity on me, and called a local gas station, the guy he knew, and they went out and they got my truck and fixed it. And again, I had this Diners Club card, so I put it all on Dad's Diners Club card, and off I went. Where was I going? Oh, so I went back to Illinois, and I put that station on the air.
The news and information time is 7:30. And 7:30 Associated Press Radio News.
That's what you sound like today.
On New 13 West in Marion, your Pontiac, Buick, Oldsmobile, and Mercedes-Benz dealers. And with the news from Washington, Tom Martin.
Then I left there, I went to WCIL and became assistant news director and morning drive news guy.
Do you remember, I was visiting you. You were doing news at WCIL.
Oh, yeah.
And I was sitting next to you, and they were about to do the newscast.
And we were in that tiny little news booth.
Who was the disc jockey?
Dennis Lyle.
So just before you were about to go on the air, I whispered to you, when they accuse you, just start.
And I probably did, didn't I?
You did, and we got exactly the reaction that we expected. He is flying all over the control board trying to find the button that he did not push. And then we start talking.
And then the job opened at SIU, at WSIU, assistant news director and all things considered local host at WSIU, where I got benefits and vacation time. I went to the Illinois Radio Network after that in Chicago. That was my big break in Chicago, where it was like, Jay Pearce, all new 67 WMAQ. After that, I went down and we built WEBX radio,
Wrapping up another extra long set of good music on the Web 93.5 with Johnny Cash, covering Soundgarden's Rusty Cage. It is Jay Pearce till midnights. Listen to Wake and Bake with Clinton Porter Monday mornings for your chance to win one of several copies. Bonnie Franco's new double CD, Living in Flint. Win it before you can buy it, and you too will be saying,
You want a little lucky schmuck.
it's only from your friends at
The Web 93.5.
and then the guy sold it. I actually got fired before he sold it. And I'm not proud of this, but after that happened, I went to the gas station and called up on the payphone, the transmitter, and she turned it off the air. Because I was the only one with the code that knew how to do that. After I got done with WEBX, and he had a job, so I became the booth announcer at Channel 3 part of the time. And then there was this little radio station out in Farmer City, Illinois, about 20 miles from Champaign. And I listened to it, but it wasn't on the air all the time. And it played Americana music and cool stuff. So I went out there and I found it. And there's this guy named Larry Williams who just passed away recently. I knocked on the door and there was no answer. So I opened the door and he was asleep on a couch. So I tapped him on the foot and he woke up and I said, you know, Cody told me about this station, but I noticed you're not on the air all the time and stuff. And I'm kind of between jobs. So I got some time to, you know, do whatever. And he goes like, well, I can't pay you anything. And I was like, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I just want to help out because I like the station. So I went out and fixed the transmitter. Then I came back and said, well, what if I just went and sold some ads? He finally hired me to do the morning show. I was the chief ranch hand at the Sunrise Ranch. I loved working at that radio. I loved all the stations I worked at. I needed really, because I had a wife and a kid. The job at the University of Illinois at WILL opened up for a news reporter, entry-level news reporter. I'd been in the business 20 years at the time. I'd been a news director. So I applied for it, right? Because I needed, a paycheck, benefits. I didn't get it. He goes, well, that's not the job you want anyway. The program director is leaving. That's the job you should apply for. So I applied for program director and I got it. I was there for 15 years. I rose to the rank of station manager. And then the unfortunate situation happened where I had to leave. And then I went to WBIK, Augustana College, one of the best liberal arts colleges in the country, Rock Island, Illinois. I got to tell you, it was really cool working at a place that never would have let me in as a student. And it was a great opportunity. We built the station up. Now it's 2 stations and had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people, loved the Quad Cities. And it became time to retire when my NPR board stick was up. Now I'm the executive director of the Illinois Public Broadcasting Council, and I fill in WCBU.
And that's the story. Well, it kind of gives short shrift to his tenure for 6 years on the NPR Board of Directors. And that story is in our podcast. I didn't have time to pull it out, and we've gone about as long as I think everyone's willing to sit and listen anyway. So go listen if you want. If you want to hear more from Jay, go listen to the Jay and Gary Show. The podcasts are still up on the website, PearceBrothersPodcasting.com, and on YouTube as the Jay and Gary Show. And spend a little bit more time with him and maybe get to know me. And the last thing I'm going to play is a little tune that I worked out that he and I were going to record as a duet. We never got to do that. But at least for me, the idea is this kind of sums up the trajectory of Jay's career. and we're eating it up. Once upon a time, I was the king of the dumb.
Are you? Okay, sorry about that. That concludes the scheduled portion of our little get together. I know everybody wants to visit more and share more. If anyone has a personal story they'd like to come up and share, you're more than welcome to do that. Oh, okay. We already have our first volunteer.
Hi, my name is Peter Vandemotter, and I lived next to Jay Pearce for about 6 years. And I could tell he always wanted to be in radio because, as you may or may not know, he bought one of those small low-power transmitters. And he had his own little radio station. I think it might have had a range of a couple of blocks. I was part of his audience, as a couple others. And considering that he didn't have much of an audience and obviously he wasn't getting paid for it, I think he did an excellent job, and he really enjoyed what he was doing. I was kind of interested in electronics more from the technical side. Jay was more for the on-air side as well as the technical side. You know, of course, I lost touch with him many years after graduating from high school. But reconnected with him on Facebook and, you know, supported WBIK by listening online, making some contributions. And I'm really sorry he's gone.
I just want to say really quickly, I forgot to mention this, but the family is starting a scholarship in his name with the radio TV department here at SIU. There will be more information about that later on.
My name's Scott Simon, for any of you who don't know who I am. For those of you who do know who I am, Jay would approve of this message, but please hold that bail money in escrow. I still have a few more years of life. What I have to say about Jay is I have no brothers and sisters. I'm adopted. I have 3 brothers. Jay was one. I've lost him. I lost another brother to stage 4 cancer the same time Jay passed away. Rick Rafi. We worked in newspapers together. And Joey Olini. And the only thing I want to say about Jay is he got me. He got me in February of 1977. I was a student. I was picked to do mornings at WSIU on a show called Today's the Day. It started at 6 in the morning. I would get to the station about 5:15, get ready, go on the air. And I walked into the studio, and Jay is there on the night show from 2 to 6 with a gentleman by the name of Joe House. Some of you here remember Joe. One of the funniest, one of the best announcers. I walked in, and these guys says, "Where have you been? You're late. We got to get out of here." And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, it's like 2 minutes till 6. I'm like, wow. So I sit down. I do the top of the hour ID. This is WSIU FM, Carbondale, Illinois. Time now for UPI News. UPI, cut 37. President Carter today announced it. Off. I said, that's not a newscast. What's going on? Turn it back on. Here's President Carter. I want to say finally I said, we're having a technical difficulty. We're now going to start Today's the Day. Any of you remember, that was Dr. Charles Lynch's pet show, and if you screwed it up, you were in trouble. So I do the show, and it's later that day, and I see Jay, and I'm sitting there going, what the heck was that all about? And finally filled me in. They turned the clock ahead to 6 o'clock. I sat in the chair at about 5:38. That's when the UPI cuts came in. And I just sat there and I looked at him. And that was really the first time I'd ever interacted with Jay. He got me with his sense of humor, but he got me to wear a watch. And I knew the time all the time. And it also taught me to have a clock in my head. Jay didn't intend it for that, but it made a profound effect on my life and career in broadcasting. I'll always remember, and Joey, you were the best man at his first 2 weddings. Jay was in my first wedding. I was in Jay's first wedding. Well, we weren't very good at it. But I'll tell you what, Jay got better at it, and he hit it out of the park at the end. I'll miss Jay. He was one of my 3 brothers. I have 1 left. And I'm just glad I was able to come down. And Sarah, thanks for letting me talk.
I'm going to follow up on Scott's point just for a second. I'm John Riley, and Jay's dear friend forever. Oh, great, the paparazzi's here again. You know, so here's the thing. For some strange reason, all of us ended up landing here in Carbondale at the same time. I don't know why that is. I don't know what kind of divine providence throws us all into that deal, but a lot of us who showed up here when we were young had a lot of raw talent, right? We had a lot of raw talent. We knew how to make people laugh. We knew how to do all this other kind of stuff. But so many people in this room right now were the people that said, yeah, you got a lot of raw talent, but you need to have an internal clock in your head, and you need to show up on time, and you need to do da. And when you do these things, when you develop discipline, it's even more fun than it was before, because not only are you having a great time, but you're also successful. And that's how it works. And that's what I learned from Jay Pearce. Was he one of my best friends? Yes. Did we have a ball? Yes, we did. Did we party like crazy? Absolutely. But the work came first. Always has. Tony Waitkus, work came first. Jack Titchener, work came first. Mike Reese, work comes first. 40 years in, I still have the #1 radio show where I'm at. And that's because of so many people in this room. You know, it took me a while to listen, but eventually you pick up on stuff when you're around great people. And of course, Jay was one of those. So I just want to say right now, nobody, and I mean nobody, would be enjoying this party right now more than Jay Harold Pearce. And thanks to Margie and Will for setting this up, because it's amazing. And thanks to Sarah for putting up with all of us. It's crazy. And also, just a reminder that the Butitas are having a little CILFM reunion in April, and everybody should show up there too. And we'll do this again with all you good people. So, cheers to Jay.
Believe it or not, in the back of the room, there's food. Good luck getting to it, since Jay has so damn many friends, including Tony Waitkus.
Absolutely. Jay was a great friend. And you hit on a lot of things that I was thinking about all along. You know, we've been hearing about pranks and practical jokes, but when it comes down to it, Jay, along with most of us, maybe not all of us, but most of us, were really true broadcast professionals that truly cared about the job we did. And in hindsight now, we can
realized what kind of impact we had on the audience and on the business. Things that we might not have realized at the time when it was going on. But in hindsight, we see that it was very strong and very evident. At CILM and FM, we were part of the, I posted about this on live. We were part of a group of people that would get together at the drop of a hat. This was our hangout. And we would always get together, and Jay was part of that group even after he left for WSIU radio. And we'd be at each other's houses all the time. And, well, yeah, perhaps. But, you know, when there were storms or when there was a major news story or when there was something going on, it was suddenly very serious, and we took our jobs very seriously and personally. One of the things that comes to mind about Jay is he was a storyteller, a great storyteller. And I was thinking about some of the stories that he told, particularly about Terrell, Texas. The one story that always got me laughing was him board hopping Sunday morning, and they sold time to a guy named Prophet James. And this guy would come in wearing a cape and a crown, carrying a scepter, and he would come in and he'd have his singers, and they'd be singing, and he'd be wailing up a storm on the air. And then people would start coming in through the door, driving in with crutches and wheelchairs, and he'd be healing them live on the air. And Jay would tell us these stories. It didn't matter how many times he told stories like this. It was
locks the control room door. No big deal, Prophet, but
you know, we were. I don't know how we ever got started on like going on roofs of buildings, but I remember when Jay was working. This must have been 1970, maybe 75 or 76. Jay was working at JPF, and me and Keith Darnay went over to visit Jay, who was board hopping a Cardinal game, and me and Keith are running around the station. I'd worked there in 74, my first paying job where I was getting $2 an hour. And so I walked into Ron Hines' office, the GM. I'd never been in before, but since Jay was on the air, nobody else was around. We opened up a closet. I was looking for logs with my signature on them. And there's a ladder in the closet that goes up to the roof. That's where me and Keith Darnay went.
no choice.
Jay was a little worried about that, but he had a carpet game to run. So anyhow, great storyteller, great guy, great friend to all of us. And just listening to everybody talk, I get the impression that the strong group of friends that we had at CILM and FM was true for him wherever he went. So hats off to Jay, and he's looking down at us right now. He's here.
Is this on? Check. I have a lot of stories about Jay, as we all. A couple of them involve police. I'm not going to tell either one of those, but it all worked out okay. I distinctly remember my last conversation with Jay before the diagnosis. And if, you know, think back to your last conversation with him before he made the announcement. Mine I remember distinctly because it was at my daughter Hannah's wedding. Say hi, Hannah. Here we go. And it was towards the end of the reception, and Jay came up behind me and snapped my suspender. And somehow we started talking about shoes. And he had on a pair of wingtips, which he loved to wear. And he was very proud of his shoes. And he said, you know, as a matter of fact, I just sent these back to floor time, and they redid the floor. And I said, but yeah, they look like my shoes. And then he paused. Swear to God, he paused for a second and said, as a matter of fact, you gave me these shoes. I'm like, shoe shop, what? And then he said, yeah, when your father passed away, Mom sold some stuff, and you saw these new shoes that he had, thought they would be my size. I did, and I gave them to him, and they fit just fine. So while my dad had died years before Hannah got married, my dad's shoes were at my daughter's wedding. Wait for it. Jay Pearce literally filled my father's shoes at my daughter's wedding. I love you, Jay Pearce.
So for the rest of the time, we have the space until 4, but if you want to spill out onto the strip, which I know many of us are going to do, we're going to matriculate to various bars, enjoy several stags, but feel free to stay here and enjoy the fellowship. And if you can make it to the food, good luck with that. You're more than welcome to it at the taco bar. And poor one girl that got assigned to us today has been trying to bring out beers. If you see a pitcher and a glass, grab it. If not, the bar would be more than happy to serve you. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming. This was an absolutely overwhelming response.
Can we all raise a glass? Those of us grab one. Okay. Yep. Best words I can share off that number. Who's the hell a good guy?
Okay, I think that is pretty much it. I apologize for the pretty bad audio. This was thrown together to come through Zoom at the very last moment when things weren't quite working for a direct YouTube broadcast from Sarah's phone. And Zoom absolutely destroys anything but close-up present audio. They've got a setting where you can change that. We were a little bit too late to be able to dig into a phone and change that setting. Sorry about that, but we've done the best we could. Thank you for watching. Only a few people watching live. Probably more people will tune in toward the end. Thank you, Sarah, for making the audio and video available. And I guess that will be it. The Jay and Gary Show will probably continue with family and friends. So stay tuned. Don't drop your subscription. Hopefully we will see you again someday in the near future. And in the meantime, that will be it for...